Welcome to the Political Shelf, a series in which I recommend reading for reformers. Today, Kingmaker by Sir Graham Brady. Sir Graham Brady's Kingmaker offers a unique lens into the political machinery of the Conservative Party. Brady, known for his discretion and quiet influence, finally opens up about his rise to power and the instrumental role he has played in shaping and at times dismantling the leadership of Britain's prime ministers. This book begins with Brady reflecting on his working class roots, a fact that sets him apart from many of his more privileged colleagues in the Conservative Party. His upbringing in a modest home in Altrincham, Manchester, informs much of his political perspective. It is here in these early chapters that Brady connects his experience growing up with his strong support for grammar schools, which would later become a defining issue in his career. Brady was a passionate defender of selective education, believing that grammar schools provided an essential ladder of opportunity for working class children like himself. In fact, his resignation from the Shadow Cabinet under David Cameron in 2007 was triggered by his protest against the party's drift away from supporting grammar schools. This was one of the first clear indications of Brady's willingness to stand by his convictions, even at personal political cost. After being elected to Parliament in 1997, Brady's rise through the ranks was steady, but not without challenges. His resignation over grammar schools set him apart as a principled figure, not easily swayed by party consensus. By 2010, Brady had ascended to the chairmanship of the 1922 Committee, a position that placed him at the heart of Conservative Party leadership decisions for over a decade. The 1922 Committee is a storied institution, its chair often holding the power to trigger leadership challenges or offer prime ministers the grim knowledge that their time is up. It's here, in the halls of Westminster, that Brady began to exercise his reputation as the quiet kingmaker. Brady's memoir gives readers an intimate look at the fall of David Cameron following the Brexit referendum. Brady saw Cameron's weakness long before the referendum took place, noting the former Prime Minister's overconfidence in his ability to sway public opinion. Cameron, Brady writes, quote, never quite grasped how deeply the scepticism ran, end quote, and it was this overconfidence that led to his downfall after the referendum. Cameron's detachment from the grassroots of the party and his misplaced certainty that Britain would vote to remain in the EU were key factors that Brady identifies in his swift exit from Downing Street. The book then moves through the turbulent premiership of Theresa May. Brady paints a picture of May as a leader overwhelmed by the impossible task of navigating Brexit, haunted by indecision and constantly trying to balance the warring factions of her own party. May's downfall seemed almost inevitable to Brady, who was privy to the internal pressures that built up within the 1922 committee. He notes that May's downfall was less about her personal failings and more a reflection of the fractures within the Conservative Party itself, particularly over Europe. May was, in Brady's words, trapped in a Brexit labyrinth from which there was no escape. In contrast, Boris Johnson's premiership was marked by moments of both boldness and chaos. Brady recounts with particular colour Johnson's unwavering loyalty to Dominic Cummings, even as the Cummings scandal over lockdown breaches threatened to tear the government apart. Johnson, in typical fashion, dismissed critics of Cummings as spineless chicken shit, a remark Brady recalls with a sense of bemused resignation. The Prime Minister's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic is also explored in depth, with Brady noting Johnson's frustration at the scientific establishment, particularly over the 2-metre social distancing rule, which Brady recalls Johnson describing as, quote, fucking stupid. Brady's account of Johnson's time in office reveals a Prime Minister often at odds with his own government, determined to bulldoze through opposition but often undermined by his own impulsiveness. Liz Truss's time in Downing Street was brief, but catastrophic. Brady's recounting of Truss's downfall after the mini-budget debacle is both shocking and unsurprising. Brady quotes Jeremy Hunt, who replaced Kwasi Kwarteng as Chancellor, telling him bluntly, quote, she must go, after the economic chaos her policies unleashed. Truss, however, clung to power, believing she could hold on for 6 more months, a hope Brady saw as delusional given the swift collapse of support around her. Brady's handling of Truss's downfall marks another moment where his role as kingmaker came into play, guiding the party through yet another leadership crisis. And finally, Rishi Sunak's rise to leadership is touched upon, though Brady offers fewer personal reflections on Sunak, focusing more on the ongoing challenges within the Conservative Party. The transition from Johnson to Sunak and the interregnum of Truss symbolises the deeper rot within the party, a party that has become increasingly fractured and consumed by internal power struggles that we see being played out as I write this. Throughout Kingmaker, Brady is clear-eyed about the fragility of political leadership. He has overseen the downfall of prime ministers, not out of malice, but out of a recognition that leadership must serve the party's interests, and when it doesn't, it must be removed. Brady's experience navigating these crises offers a sobering reminder of how fleeting power can be, even for those at the top. Power is fleeting, even for prime ministers, Brady writes, summing up the central theme of his memoir. The memoir stands as a cautionary tale about the precarious nature of political leadership and the critical role that figures like Brady play behind the scenes in determining the fates of those who seek to lead the country. Brady's Kingmaker offers a rare insider's perspective on the domestic events that have shaped modern British politics. From Cameron's hubris to Johnson's chaotic premiership and Truss's rapid fall, the book is an indispensable account of the fragility of power, written by the man who held the fate of prime ministers in his hands.